Hey fellow marksmen, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Going Medieval Oak Brethren, Episode 13, Training Our Brethren Archers. At the very end of last stream, we did have one of our own die as a result of not paying the ransom. Essentially, we brought in a refugee who was wanted by the bards. We didn't actually pay off the ransom, and then we actually successfully defended against the raiders and chose not to take one of them prisoner. And as soon as I refused them for prisoner, they killed our own. So we have a lot of cleanup to do as a result of that raid. We have some burial to do of Ravak, because Ravak ended up dead. He was our only brawler. He held the door, and the door was breached by a battering ram, and he died after the fight, which was really annoying. So, to speak about how I'm going to prepare for raiders and invaders, I want to do a few things. One, anyone that has a proclivity towards melee ought to be equipped for it. So I believe we have some people here who do indeed, like Frozen, for instance, has a passion in melee, as does Manic, and the two of them, and Zent. So the three of them, it might be wise to at least have two of them have some sort of gear appropriate for melee. Which likely means, now that we have armor, actually unlocking some armor, right? Because armor alone doesn't actually give you the ability to make good armor. Light armor is not going to cut it against raiders. Additionally, unlocking steel. So I think what we need to do is research a whole bunch of things. We need to research combat training equipment so that our archers can practice archery. Because one of the issues that we have is our current archers have horrible marksmanship, which means that they are not able to equip good bows and they miss constantly. So getting combat training equipment, getting steel, getting armor too, and possibly shields too. And equipping multiple brawlers, so it's not just one person holding the gate. And then also equipping our marksmen, once they level up their marksmanship, to better quality bows, which means getting fletching too. And getting longbows, which require a marksmanship skill of 10 to handle. So those are the problems, because we had long neglected that. Mostly because I gave you viewers a bit too long of a leash to say, hey, you know, don't negotiate with the enemies, and I really ought not to have done that. That was I should have just been like, no, we're negotiating, because I am in no way ready for actual combat. It's important to note that for going medieval, it is very easy to be, for lack of a better term, steamrolled. In a game like RimWorld, you might lose one or two in a raid, and then the raiders will, like, say, good job, and, like, leave after you've suffered some losses. In this game, like, they're going to kill all of you. There won't be anything left alive. And it's really important to be prepared for those kind of fights, because if you're not, it's just game ending. So either you end up save scumming, or you don't, you know, you start over or something like that. So what I want to do is I'm going to prepare for a potential situation akin to that. All right. Backing up a little bit. I think the way I want to go about this is the first thing I want to do is to get the combat training equipment, which is 20 Chronicles, 10 textbooks. So let's get this up to 20 and 10. And then Ravak is buried here. And the reason he's in an unmarked grave is we don't have like stone block cutting and stone carving and the like. Oh, well, stone block cutting to give him like a limestone grave, because there's no such thing as like a clay grave. So one of the disadvantages, probably the only disadvantage of going clay over limestone, is like the beauty of burial. But that's, I mean, that's fine. It just is the way it is. So our craftsmen are going to be largely responsible for smelting down materials that have dropped in this fight. And I think what I want to do is urgent haul this stuff after forcing maybe someone like Zent to, all right, let's back up a little bit. We really want to deal with the corpses, I would say. Right? We have a big old nasty amount of people out here dead, and we need to clean them up because they're going to be a problem if we don't. So because of this raid party, we have a lot of work to do as a result. There's a lot of bodies, there's a lot of loot. Most of this loot isn't worth having, so we're going to break it down to its raw components. All the while, we're making sure that our researchers are pushing ahead, because I think the best defense that we could have going forwards is to have better research for arms, armor, better bows, training facilities, and then eventually, after fulfilling all of that, siege equipment. You know, defensive ballistae, defensive catapults, defensive trebuchets, etc. There is a significant defender advantage provided that you actually build those facilities, so that's going to be pretty important to source. And do we have enough sticks? Yeah, we have plenty of sticks. Okay. So right now I have Viking trying to give the raiders Viking burials. And then, of course, we're going to end up with like a lot of polecats and wolves that are eating all the people that are dead. We have our craftspeople like Kadath breaking down the materials, and then Frozen and I think Talonist. Talonist has been researching, as has Frozen. Okay, yeah. And that all works. I think given him enough time, we'll have most of this cleaned up. I don't intend to save scum for reverting previous raids, but what I will do is advise you guys to make either I'll take the reins when I think the defense is impossible, or put my thumb on the scale a little bit more to say, hey, you know, we are not going to be able to handle like 10 raiders with one bowman and a bunch of people that have short bows that don't know how they work. Right, because that's kind of the problem that we faced. And the other thing is we can start to, once we have the raw materials, the clay, to enclose the entire perimeter in Merlins, which should aid in our defense a bit, I think. But that's not really a high priority. I did want to prototype one of the two corners, though, just to see it done. Or one of the four corners, sorry. Does height matter in terms of damage or accuracy? Yes, there is a height bonus. Given my current archers being incredibly low skill, it doesn't make sense for them to be further from their targets, despite there being like a height advantage, because the distance between the targets, I'd rather have them hitting more often than hitting harder. I'll put it that way, because of their low accuracy. And that will, of course, change. The other thing is the bows that they're currently using are low range bows, because short bows have poor range, 18-meter range, versus some of the better bows that we're going to get later on. So if we take a look at the fletching tree, you know, once you have crossbows, which have a range of 25, you know, or the higher tier crossbows, these are going to outrange the enemy, because a lot of the fight comes down to, as enemies approach, you have your bowmen take out their bowmen so that you can't suffer from enemy bow attacks, and then their meleeers are trying to breach, and you can then focus fire on the ones that have like siege equipment and the like. All right, it is the 2nd of summer. We have tidied up maybe like a third of the debris out here. And I think probably want to get rid of the bodies more than anything else. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to force Viking into hauling rather than into harvest. So jobs, Viking, let's put you haul to 1 rather than harvest. Because I don't have any construction or mining jobs for him. Which should resolve the dead bodies laying out there. Alright, how are we doing in research? We're up to 12 and 1. So we're almost halfway to what we need for the training. And was that the last of my ice blocks? Nope, we still have more ice blocks. Perfect. They're going to go pretty soon, so we'll lose refrigeration. Taking a look at our food stocks. Oop, that wasn't the right button. It's this one. 402. Okay. And I'm sure our food stocks are going to go up in the, as it is now summer and as things are ripening and flowering, we're going to get increased yields from our farms and then to be able to resow it for another harvest before the end of the grow season. One of the other hidden advantages to smelting down their materials is if they attacked us with anything made of like steel, we'll be able to salvage the steel from their arms and armor and put it to good use. Because like this helmet, for instance, is steel. This great helmet is steel, right? So these steel things can be smelted down and then reused. Some of it is iron, some of it is steel. I may want... I hate to keep relying upon this old structure, but it's going to be really cheap for me to just keep using it, at least for now, to allow us to process bodies a little bit more. So doubling the amount of corpse piles. Oh, that's not good. Hailstorm. So an ice volley herald a fierce hailstorm. What's going to end up happening is we'll have lower yield. There was a YouTube question that was, does Going Medieval have blights? And it doesn't, but it has something similar to blights, which is hailstorms. So as you can see, some of my crops are just straight up dying as a result of the hail. Which is somewhat similar to blights, I would say. Unfortunate, but also unavoidable. It's just the way it is. Oh well, we'll lose some of the crops. And Kadath is doing a great job of getting rid of all the stuff, flimsy and sturdy and damaged stuff that we don't really want. And we'll soon be able to turn that into actually useful equipment once we have the research unlocked. So we're 1 chronicle and 4 textbooks away from having archery targets, and I think that's going to help out a lot. And what I can do is set maybe 1 bowman at a time to train. So I'm going to reduce the train down to 5. Set 1 bowman at a time to train, and try to get them up to the 10 threshold so they can move up to longbow. So the big difference between the short bow and the longbow, as you can see, this longbow, and of course there's some quality differences as well, but these longbows do about, let's say, 4 DPS. Short bows do 1.4, right? The longbows are going to be nearly doubling the DPS of our ranged. And most of the enemies are showing up with warbows and longbows. So it's pretty necessary to have decent weapons. On top of that, once we have better bows, we can also consider incendiary attacks as well. I don't want to get into incendiary attacks immediately, but being able to tell our archers to fire arrows is going to be pretty handy as well when up against overwhelming odds. How's our steel? Oh yeah, we've gotten 28 steel as a result of melting down their garbage. That's not bad at all. Are there crossbows? There are, yes. So the disadvantage of the crossbows, they don't fire as fast, but they have more armor damage, armor pen, so they're really good against armor targets. Basically, the TLDR is crossbows are really good against armor targets, and range and bows attack faster. So they're better against less armored targets. But at the end of the day, I'll probably want to get like heavy crossbows in the hands of as many as I can, as ultimately it's the armor targets with like siege equipment that like battering rams going through our doors, which really pose the most threat, I would say. Okay, one more textbook. And the hailstorms ended, and it doesn't look like the damage was all that great. Okay, burn body forever. That is enemies using sticks. And Viking is burning one body, and I'm going to have Manic burn the other one. Okay, combat training equipment, done. The next research I want is probably steel, because there's not much point in getting armor or two if I don't have the materials I want to put into the armor, right? So steel is the precursor, and steel is going to require 30 chronicles, 10 textbooks, or I think, what, 15 textbooks? Yeah, 15 textbooks. So let's queue up exactly that. And pretty soon, the mood modifiers for, you know, saw dead bodies will go away, because we're slowly cleaning up these dead bodies and cleaning up all the resources they came in with. And then once the dead bodies are gone, you know, I might set the beets here to halt urgently, because I don't feel comfortable having a harvest here just sit out. So looking at the jobs, urgent haul is top priority for everyone. So yeah, they should be tending to that in just a moment, as soon as they're done with their other tasks. There we go. Thank you, Talonist. And then the difference here is food 413 to apparently didn't recalculate, but I have a lot more beets. Where are my beets? I don't even see them on the list here. Carrots, cabbage, red currants, raw meat, milk. Guys, what did you do with the beets? Hang on, I am now very confused. What happened to my beets? What did you do with them? Wait, where did they go? I watched Talonist grab them all. What did he do with them? I honestly don't have the foggiest. Will wild animals eat the seeds? No, they don't. They're not food. Well, they have nutrition, but like not enough nutrition that I think that's much of a concern. I'll put it that way. There were beets on the first shelf? Yeah, well, okay, let me look at that. I guess what I am saying is I don't get why they're not being counted in my food counter. Oh yeah, there they are. Beets. Vegetable, edible, cooking material. I don't see them here, though. On the tracker. Whatever, I'm not gonna stress my brain about it. I'm gonna keep growing them and hoping they're adding to my food totals. Have I forbidden to eat raw? Let's see. All food? And all food is... Yes. So they eat raw. Let's forbid that. Let's actually create a new profile. Call it no raw food. Disable all raw food. With that said, I might want to continue drinking raw milk. Its shelf life isn't that great. I'm not currently making like cheese, so we'll consume that anyway. And let's pivot over to no raw food. That will probably help stretch it a bit. But that doesn't really change why on the resource panel beets are just not showing up. I don't see beets here at all. Right? It's red currants, cabbage, carrots, meat, milk, roasted meat, stews, apple pies, and that's it. Beets are just like absent. Just to double check for the I don't even care if the beets are counted. I just find it weird that it's not. But regular meals will use beets as an ingredient, so whether it's counted in the resource panel or not doesn't really matter as long as they're cooking with it. Because at the end of the day, it's the cooking with it that is of concern. So there's 5 more bodies left to pyre. Almost done with that. And then the next thing, once they're done with that, is to set up archery ranges. Setting up a practice range for our archers, so that at least one can practice at a time. I just want to get rid of the bodies first. Because, well, dead bodies laying about. Not exactly the nicest thing to look at. So here's the archery range. And I'm trying to like put a roof over it. I don't know if they're functionally going to benefit from that. I just don't want them getting wet if they can help it while they practice. So we'll see if this is this works or not. I really don't know. And then in terms of who should train, I'm looking for anyone that has a passion. So Manic has a passion in marksman and melee. So in terms of who should melee, Frozen has a passion in melee. So obviously he's going to be melee specifically. I don't really want to leave it to one person to be our own meleeer, but since Manic is a passion in both marksman and melee, the question is, should Manic, what combat to focus on for Manic. He's a passion for both melee and ranged, but the thing is, I only have one person passionate in melee, one person passionate in ranged, and he's passionate in both. I could, however, turn someone that has a passion in neither into a tank, besides Manic. So that's the thing is, like, take, let's say, Kadath, for instance. He doesn't have a passion in marksman or melee, so because he doesn't have a proficiency in either, he could just don a whole lot of armor and tank for us as a tank. I think if, again, thumb on the scale a little bit, if I had to choose between someone that has a passion in both, it's almost always going to go ranged, because ranged people will do more DPS than melee people, because you usually don't risk your melee people if you can help it. And it looks like ranged it is. So, Manic, let's have you train. Once you're done gardening. Looking at your jobs here. Animal husbandry, cooking. Oh, you are our cook. I don't want you not to cook. And art. So I'm deprioritizing everything so he trains. And what am I missing here? Oh, practice targets, right. Okay. Woodworking bench. I will do until I have 10 practice targets. That way we can actually start training. I think that's probably the right decision. Some settlers are becoming annoyed. Yep, saw a whole bunch of dead bodies over and over and over. Sorry, Viking. Manic is already training a skill. That's great. I should not have left it to only Viking to be the one to clean up dead bodies. That's like a bit my fault. So Kadath, go help him. There's only 2 dead bodies left, and Manic's already level 7. So this is immediately working towards our benefit. All right, we're closing in on the secrets of steelmaking. And here we go. Manic is plugging away on that target. The number I've set on the range, is that the skill-wise? What I want them to train to do? I think what it is it's yeah, the range skill aiming. I haven't actually used the range targets before, so we'll both see. Oh, wow. The bone pile got reduced to nothing before we even tidied up that corpse. That's how much work we had. That they became bony boys. Oh, there's beats. It just took a day to recalculate or something. I was like trying to fix a problem that I could just wait to have fixed. That's my favorite fix. Oh, just wait. It will resolve. Speaking of which, we do have need of more clay for some of our structures. It's not really a high priority, but I think we should continue mining when we can. And then one of the other things we're going to want to research is at least fletching 2 for the longbows. So that those that are training in archery can actually benefit from higher quality bows. And hopefully Viking will have like a better day today. Rainstorm, thank you for the resub. Cheers. Should we move the pyres and have a corpse pile away from the keep? I think probably the best way to do is just to have a high volume processing, so that it just gets done quickly. So like everyone grabs a corpse and burns it, type of deal. But I'm not working on that right now. I'm gonna work on research and training rather than to touch anything regarding this area. His mood's improving a little bit. One of the things is we don't yet have an Oak Brethren temple. But I'm not going to consider building one of those until we have our defenses improved. And the armor that we need. That should bring you up to level 8. There you go. Awesome. And we're 3 chronicles away from steel. So once we have the ability to make steel, I don't have a lot of iron mined up right now. Raw iron or coal, I don't think I have a ton of either. So we're going to have to go source the materials for steel. But building up a stockpile of steel so that we can make steel-based armor is going to be pretty important. So that we have high-quality armor when we are engaged in melee. So ideally, like, I don't want to be forced into melee. A perfect defense is one that we never resolve the fight with blades, in my opinion. But it will eventually, inevitably happen, so having access to the best possible gear is going to be important. No, more cats, for real. Stop. We're not the cat castle. Okay, we have steel making. So with steel making, it requires iron ingots and coal. So what we want to do is first work until we have, let's say, so a single steel ingot requires 30 iron ingots. So I'm going to say do until we have 30 iron, right? Because without 30 iron, you can never make steel. And then steel ingots I'm going to do forever. So to that end, there are some coal seams and iron veins, which we can exploit pretty close to the base. So getting those mined up and producing as much steel as we can is going to be paramount. So current priority right now is train, marksman, and craft armor for combat. All right, and that edge is done. Awesome. So one of the side tasks is to continue with the Merlin perimeter around the base wall as well, just to give our archers a little bit extra protection. So I want to keep that going. While we have the plate tiles accessible. Hey, fresh cut meat. Thank you for the cheer. Quite generous cheer. Well, cheers to you. All right. So in the marksman training, I have Manic doing one more training session using the last practice target, and that should bring them up to 10, which is the bare minimum to wield longbows. Next research is going to be... Actually, you know what? Next research might be fletching, but I will get the textbooks for armorer, because we have a lot more people that are going to benefit from bows eventually than we will from armor. So in terms of armor, in terms of our meleeer, Frozen is definitely going to be one of them, because he has a passion in melee and not in marksman. But who should the second meleeer be? So Kadathir, in terms of his personality traits, let's see. He moves faster, and that would be the only real trait benefit. Talonist has a melee of 11 already, and he doesn't have any traits that would really benefit him. Well, alright, to be fair, he is erudite, which might mean that he learns archery faster, but one could also say he learns melee faster. Viking has a melee of 2, marksman of 1, and his perks is he recovers from wounds slower, so he's a particularly bad choice in my opinion, because meleeers are almost certainly going to get beat up a bit. So between those three, who should be our second brawler? And Belle, thank you for the resub. Alright, how is our combined food? 629. Nice. So it's definitely going up. Without a doubt. Is this still Viking? Yeah, you're hungry. The friend died is going to expire in about a day and a half, and that's going to make mood around our colony a lot easier to manage. That was a big blow, because everyone was friends with Rhadamant. I'll give you one more minute to vote in this poll. And our researchers are dutifully plowing through the chronicles and textbooks, trying to unlock the secrets of violence, essentially. And pretty sure, pretty soon, Manicure will hit Marksman 10, and we'll have a little bit more, the ability to outfit him a little bit better. Oh, I have a third apple tree now. Nice. Well, looks like you guys aren't really certain whether it's Kadath or Talonist that should be our second brawler, meleeer. But you have a little bit longer to vote, so if you haven't voted yet, feel free to log that poll. Alright, Tal. It will be Tal. So we're going to want a set of gear for both Frozen and Tal. Manic is now level 10 archery, which means next up I'm going to have Viking be our trainer. The one training, I should say. He is Marksman 1, so we're going to do 9 sessions. I believe each session is a training level. Are we going to be building a melee practice area? Possibly, but I'm more concerned about getting them armored first. Basically, the way I'm treating it is our archers are our DPS and our meleeers are our tanks, so I'm a lot less concerned about the DPS that the meleeers do, at least for now. Do Merlins stop these ladders? As far as I know, they will still ladder and then they will destroy the Merlin. So it slows them down, but it doesn't stop them. And it seems to me like we've done a batch of steel. Yeah, okay. Kadath is working on the steel. Perfect. Thank you for tuning in to Going Medieval Oak Brethren, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow brethren.